Drug overdose deaths soared to over 93,000 in 2020. That's a 30% increase over the previous year. That's tragic and alarming. But beyond the statistics are the stories of real people, people we love, our families, our friends, our neighbors, who share their stories of pain, grief, and loss and suffering through addiction, as well as the stories of those who work tirelessly to combat this devastating epidemic. I'm Mike Torville. Join me now for Healing Voices Project. Hello everyone, and thanks for coming back to Healing Voices Project. We're really glad to have you back. Today I have a guest, my friend Barry Simpson, also known as Bart, as he has a chapter in the book Voices from the Fallen, and the title of that chapter is Superdad to Fugitive, from Superdad to Fugitive, and there's quite a story behind Barry's chapter. And today we're also going to dedicate this episode to Barry's friend Sarah, who passed away a few years ago. And in honor of Sarah, I know Barry had asked if we could ask the listeners to donate to Celebrate Recovery. It's a wonderful program, celebraterecovery.com. And when you go on the website for Celebrate Recovery, you can see chapters all over the country, but more locally, you can find them in Chicopee, Holyoke, South Hadley, Agawam, Enfield, but you can certainly find a chapter you'd like near you. CelebrateRecovery.com in honor of Sarah. Now, Barry, thanks for coming.
Oh, thank you for having me.
Sure. And, I know we've gotten to know each other a lot, and your story is very compelling. You've gone through a lot. In fact, one of the things I was thinking about with you is I'm a big Bob Dylan fan, and I over the top ridiculous because my wife makes fun of me. But anyway,
really?
Oh yeah, I'm a big Bob Dylan fan. Sorry.
No, I did not know that, and I don't understand it.
Oh well, we'll have to talk about that later. But the reason why I bring that up is because Bob Dylan put out an album last year called Rough and Rowdy Ways, and there is a song on there, and it makes me think of you.
Oh.
It's called I Contain Multitudes, and he talks about the different personalities and the different aspects he's become that have consumed him over the years, and how he's varied and how different he was. And in fact, there's a little part, and he didn't even print it out because it just made me think of you. It's a reflection of all the different lives he's led. And maybe I won't read the lyrics because you'll start to say, well, wait a second. But he's anyway, I think if you are a person, to me, it's like you contain multitudes. You've had a life of super dad, and you're a successful businessman, you're a chef, you're a home construction, remodeling, and you've gone through what a lot of people might not have been able to handle, come out of it, and you're just an intelligent guy who is pretty much capable of anything. But your life has gone in so many different circles. I just think of the multitude of personalities and multitude of aspects your life is involved with. And I think if we had this podcast for a couple hours, we'd still go. Anyway, I'm rambling.
Well, no, I have two distinct personalities.
You do? Just two?
I had an ex-girlfriend tell me I had 16.
Okay. All right. See, I guess I'm not that far off.
No, you're not. But I have two distinct.
Yeah.
There's me, Barry.
Yes.
And then there's a character called Swag.
Oh, I don't know about Swag.
Swag is a badass.
Uh-huh.
Swag is the dark me.
Oh. Who's here today?
Barry.
Okay. Just making sure. All right.
Swag is under control.
Yeah.
I had to go through a lot of therapy to get swag under control. Anger management, therapy, so forth and so on. Swag was an animal. Swag took, didn't give. Except orders. He gave orders.
Well, I know there's some aspects of Swag in your chapter in the book, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
That was when Swag was rampant.
Yeah.
And what happened is the alcohol released him. I had no restraint.
Yeah.
You know, your inhibitions lose. They're gone.
Mm-hmm.
And the more you drink, the worse it gets. And so I was living swag. Barry was dead or in hibernation.
In hibernation, yeah. But has come back.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
took a lot of work.
I know your story is really, again, it was it was exhausting. It was exhausting.
That's funny. Well, there was a lot. You and I sat down for like a quick coffee.
You're right.
And it was like 3 hours later.
I know. We should have had dinner prepared for this, because I think we're going to be here all that time.
And I sat down in my car and I was like, oh my God, my throat hurts.
I know. Well, and then of course after that we had to, okay, wait, how did this? Yeah, we had to work through that. But I think again the bottom line is you have a message in your story.
Yeah.
And you know,
it's a message of hope.
It's a message of hope, and I
think
you
can get through it.
Yeah.
But it's not easy. At all.
It wasn't for you.
No,
it wasn't, and it's not for many people either. However, perseverance, and you did, and you are standing here today, which otherwise, if you continued, you probably wouldn't be.
No.
Yeah.
No.
It's
a miracle that I'm alive.
Yeah.
I ran into some really dark situations, really, really tricky situations, only because of my abuse. I went from Superdad to finding myself on the banks of the Chicopee River, hanging around with really dangerous people, drunk, and just waiting for the trigger to go off.
Let's go to the beginning of this, because the beginning is you were young. Well, even before you got married, I know there was something in the book, and this is just, to me, it got to me. It gets to me just to think about it. But there was your young niece had passed away, and you were a pallbearer at the funeral.
Mm-hmm.
Can you talk about that? And I think that, to me, it seemed to have a lot to do with your attitude going forward.
It made me an atheist.
Yes. So you want to talk a little bit about what happened there and why that triggered?
She was 18 months old and she died of SIDS, which is really unusual at that age. Mm-hmm. SIDS happens earlier in life. So she was 18 months old. Beautiful. Her name was Claire. Beautiful, young, blonde-haired, curly-headed girl. Just gorgeous. Mm-hmm. A joy. And she died. I woke up in the morning. I had been out the night before. Was hungover, of course. Woke up in the morning and the house was empty. And this is pre-cell phone.
Okay.
So I couldn't contact anybody. And then everybody came back in and they're like, Claire's dead. And I'm like, what? What do you mean? Yeah, she died in her sleep. So my brother and I, it's a tiny coffin. Small, like 4 foot maybe. And my brother and I were the two pallbearers. And as we went to go put her into the hearse, we tilted and I felt her body slide. And I heard her head thud into the coffin. And I went, how is there a God? Just at that moment. Mm-hmm. Boom, atheist. Just like that.
You just turned it off and said, that's it. I can't, yeah.
How is this possible? This happened the day before Christmas. I'm like, how? This gorgeous, young, jubilant child, gone.
And then to hear
her head
hit, it just would drop you.
That was
drop you.
That was like the exclamation point, if you understand that.
Right. So after that, you were just F this, right? Pretty much.
Yeah.
You said that's it.
There is no God.
Yeah.
How can a gentle and loving God allow this to happen? was my question.
What changed in you after that, though? Besides that, did it change any of your behaviors, or did you just sort of have a careless attitude after that? A little bit.
Careless is an understatement.
Yeah.
Reckless is a better statement.
You were drinking a lot.
Oh yeah.
And did you marry yet?
At that time, no.
At that time, no. But shortly after you got.
No, I was 18 at that time.
At that time.
I got married my first time at 26.
Okay.
My second time at 32.
Yeah. You had a couple daughters. 2
daughters and a son.
Yeah. And when you were drinking throughout.
Not in my first marriage, because she was a teetotaler.
Yeah.
She didn't drink at all. Mm-hmm. The only time I drank when I was with her is when I was at work after hours. Like if I was doing extra prep for a catering job or something like that, I'd have some beers around in the cooler. Mm-hmm. And if she went away, like on a girls' weekend,
it was party time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
I mean,
party time alone.
Right.
Which is, that's
there was
the
one
beginning
night,
of the problem.
Yeah, and I think it was during your first marriage you had said that you had to work all night, and you got an 18-pack of beer while you're working. You drank all night long, through the night, and then came home and just passed out on the floor. And,
no, I came home and I went to bed.
Okay.
I slept about 2 hours, and I had to get up and go to work. And I got up, and I just passed out.
Yeah, of course.
She watched me. She told me, she said, I watched you spin.
And then just pass out.
And she said it was like watching like a hurricane, but slow.
Wow.
I just spun.
And just collapsed right
and
there.
Collapsed. Hit my head, urinated on myself.
Did you call the ambulance?
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
And so I came to, and there were 2 paramedics staring at me, and my young daughters are right there, and she's right there, my wife. And the paramedics were looking at me with absolute hatred. Hatred. Like, you're a piece of shit. Can I swear?
Yeah. No.
Too late.
All right, too late. But they took you somewhere, right? They took you to
a hospital.
The hospital, yeah.
And that's when she came in, my wife, and my mom and my stepdad were there, and I'm in a gurney waiting to get treated. And if you've ever passed out, the feeling afterwards is like being run over by a truck. I know that's a cliche, but you're exhausted. So I'm laying there just waiting, and she walks in and says to my mother, right to her face, "He's your problem now." Turns around, walks out.
That was the abrupt end of your marriage.
Bang.
So you had to move on.
And the funny thing is I wasn't really drinking a lot when I was with her.
But when you did.
When I did.
Talk about a binge. Yeah.
And that's the same thing. Alcoholism is different forms.
Yeah.
And I do nothing except extremely.
Right, exactly. Yeah, you take things to an extreme, and
whether it's
working out or whatever,
it doesn't matter.
Yeah. And so then you went on about your single life for a little while, met someone again, got married again, but your second wife wasn't a teetotaler.
No.
She drank with you.
Oh yeah, every afternoon was cocktail.
Yeah. So you get home from work and.
Right to the vodka.
Yeah.
Started with beer. And then she's like, I'm tired of taking all these empties to the package store to get redeemed. Because there were a lot. And I was getting a little chubby.
Oh, so you switched to less filling vodka.
Yeah. Honestly, true story.
Yeah.
I switched to vodka because I was getting a little chubby. And I'm like, all right, well, every can of beer has 118 calories, and I'm drinking 30 a day.
Yeah.
That's a lot of calories.
That's a lot, yeah.
So I switched to vodka because it's almost 0 calories. Almost, not quite.
Right.
And it gets the job done.
Right. I remember you saying that it just gets the job done quicker without the calories.
Without the weight.
Yeah.
So her and I would have cocktail hour.
Yeah.
And she was a fairly sophisticated woman. I mean, like Emily Post, she literally owned Emily Post's book of etiquette and would quote it to me.
Did it work?
I know how to hold a fork.
So anyway, you'll cut that out. But I just had to. But you had a son, and I know once your son got to be 6, 7, 8, you started coaching. He was playing basketball and baseball, and you were
soccer.
You were very involved with that.
Yeah,
you were coaching.
Yeah, I coached Little League for 7 years.
Yeah.
Almost. We won the town championship.
Yeah.
They were a very talented group of kids. It was, and I didn't play baseball. I was a soccer player growing up. So I literally bought the book Coaching for Idiots.
Really? But you dove into it. I mean, you became the coach for 7 years.
And then, Google baseball.
Basics.
Basics. Well, I understand the game as a Red Sox fan. I've watched it my whole life.
Yeah.
But I've never coached it.
Yeah.
And you got to teach these kids the fundamentals.
Right.
So I Googled baseball fundamentals, and I got all these drills, and I printed them out, and I read them, and I, would use them.
Yeah.
And I made a broomstick bat, and I got a bunch of golf plastic practice balls.
Yeah.
You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, I do. Yeah.
And I would toss them to them and make them hit these tiny little golf balls.
Like the little broomstick bat, right?
Right.
Right.
To teach hand-eye.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
I invented that.
Did it work?
Yeah.
Well,
that's why they were so successful, because they could hit.
You're hitting a tiny little ball.
With a little stick.
A bigger one, it makes it a whole lot easier, right?
Well, yeah, because you can see that bigger ball coming in, and you got a bigger diameter bat.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
And once you can focus on hitting it,
the rest becomes easier.
Certainly easier.
Theoretically, anyway.
So I coach Little League. I coach his basketball team, which was a blast. Basketball is so fun to coach. These kids are maniacs. Mm-hmm. His soccer team, when he was really young, 5, that's like herding cats.
Yeah. But it was fun. You were there.
And I'm a soccer player.
Yeah, so you didn't need the manual for that one.
No.
Yeah.
But it's tough to teach a 5-year-old how an inverse cross is.
Yeah, but if you did that for 7 years, he was just getting into his teens, right?
Little League, you played till you're 13.
Yeah, okay. So you were very involved with that.
Very.
Working as a chef.
And
right?
No, I was running a restaurant at that time.
Okay.
I was a managing partner of a restaurant.
Mm-hmm.
He was also in 3 separate leagues. So there wasn't a day, not one single day, that he wasn't practicing or playing.
Yeah.
Not one. And I was there every time. And in the afternoons after practice, we'd go out in the field and have a catch.
Okay.
Dad, let's go have a catch. And this is when I knew he was good, right? Yeah. So I'm crouched down. He's a pitcher and shortstop. So I'm and outfield. So I'm crouched down catching him as I'm trying to teach him how to throw a curveball, although you're not supposed to, but I'm trying to teach him anyway.
Who would know? Yeah.
Shh, don't tell anyone.
Yeah.
And he's hitting my glove. And I'm like, I don't have a mask on. I'm not wearing catcher's gear. I'm an adult.
You're right.
And I'm trying to catch him. And he's hitting me so hard. I'm like, that's enough.
Yeah.
I'm going to get hurt.
Mm-hmm.
That's how hard he was throwing. And he was very talented. And but prideful to a certain point, but not over prideful.
This went on for years.
Mm-hmm.
And
7.
You were running the restaurant?
Running a restaurant, but I was an active, or what did they say, highly functioning alcoholic.
Uh-huh.
We were drinking daily. The vodka we had this French refrigerator, the double doors with the pull out freezer, and the vodka was in the freezer. And every day, right out. Started, I would, when my wife Kelly at that time, with Miles's mother, when we would start, it was vodka tonics. And tonic has all the sugar in it. So we switched to vodka and seltzer. Less calories, no sugar.
There you go again.
And then it was just vodka on ice. even less calories.
Yeah.
There's nothing there. And then when it got real bad later in life, it was just vodka right out of the bottle. I didn't need a glass. I didn't need ice. Room temperature. That's fine.
Less glasses to clean.
Yeah.
You know, come on.
I'm streamlining.
It's a lot more efficient in many ways. But, you know, and I know you said you were going about this like highly functioning, running the restaurant, coaching your son's team. But there was something that you said you and your wife were going somewhere and you got dizzy and had a little seizure.
Mm-hmm.
And
went blind.
You went blind temporarily. And you ended up in the hospital.
Mm-hmm.
And there was a little, I'll call it a conversation, but they were asking you, do you drink?
And I said yes.
And they said, how much?
And I said 2 liters a day.
And they said, usually people aren't this honest. Right?
Well, from what I understand, the rule of thumb in the medical industry, if somebody tells you they drink 3 glasses a day, multiply that by 3.
Yeah. Okay. But you said I drink 2 liters of vodka.
Because I was ill. I was just blind. I don't want to be blind.
So you said, hey, better be honest.
Better be honest so I can get the proper cure.
So when they heard that, they said, oh, you're not going home. Is that what they said?
No, he said, are you serious? Yeah. What, am I fucking kidding?
You were very serious, yeah. And so if you say, okay, they had to look at each other and say, what are you going through? Was it withdrawal? What was the problem there?
Don't know.
Yeah, but you had a seizure and you were blind and you were shaking.
I think it was probably withdrawal.
Yeah.
This is a long time ago, so
yeah.
I don't really. I know that morning I had nothing to drink.
Hmm.
And I think my alcoholism had gotten to the point where my body said, no, you need to have a drink. Or you're going to go blind and you're going to have a seizure.
Well, as things evolved with your family life, or maybe I should say dissolved, right?
That's exactly what happened.
As that happened, you found yourself, your wife separated, and you went to live with your mom.
We didn't separate.
Oh, what? How did
she had the police separate us?
Okay. Well, what? Okay, yeah. What happened there?
I got home. She was out. I was 90% certain she was having an affair. Couldn't prove it, but you got that feeling.
Yeah, that
in your gut.
All right.
And she comes home and she's all sweaty and immediately hits the shower.
Okay.
All right. So we get into an argument because I'm drunk. And I scared her. I mean, I never laid a hand on her. Never. And because I don't. And but I scared her. So she knew that it was over. So she called the police. Police show up, said, "Are you drunk?" I said, "Yep."
You were honest, yeah. Yeah.
Because that's who I am. I mean, I'm not going to lie about this stuff.
Right.
Except when I'm hiding it. It's different.
It's a different story. But so you had to leave.
Oh, I had to leave with my hands handcuffed behind me. Yeah. They arrested me. Took me away. I find myself in Hartford County Jail, which is a hellhole. Filthiest place I've ever been in my life. Disgusting. So I went from a beautiful wife, a beautiful son, coaching Little League, living in a beautiful condominium, to Hartford County Jail. Like that. Just boom.
Wow.
Opened my eyes, hungover, starting to go through withdrawal, sick, and we didn't have orange jumpsuits there. They were called tans because they were tan, which makes sense.
Yep. Now, when you were there, too, you were going through withdrawals. Is this when you decided is this your 50th birthday was coming up? Or was it a different?
That was there.
You had a 50th birthday celebration, I remember.
Tried to.
What happened?
Well,
you were making some of your own wine.
It's called Pruno.
Yeah.
And it's jailhouse wine. You take a yeast product, you take water, you take fruit juice, a piece of fruit, usually an apple, chew the apple up, spit it into a container, mix everything together so the yeast and the sugars ferment.
In a baggie or something?
A bag, and whatever you got. A clean, empty shampoo bottle, an empty peanut butter bottle.
Nice, yeah.
Jar, rather. I mean, anything. And so I was denied release. I was supposed to get into a program. My lawyer's like, this looks great. And I was denied. And I thought I was going to be going into this program down in Stamford, Connecticut, getting out of jail. And it was denied. Judge said, nope, send him back. And my birthday was coming up. And I said, okay. So I made a dozen bottles of Pruno.
Now, to get this, you had to bargain with other inmates, people to say, hey, give me your fruit. You got some cereal over there. You got some bread. And you had to barter.
At lunch or breakfast or whatever, you get a shit ton of, a ton of rice and a ton of bread at every single meal in Hartford. Every one of them. So you just store it and use it.
Then you find apples or fruit.
And usually there's a piece of fruit. But I also ran a store out of my cell. Being the entrepreneur that I am.
All right. Yeah.
I ran a store. And very successfully. Meaning I got what I wanted.
Yeah.
Whenever I wanted. And I had bags and bags full of...
But you had to hide these bags.
No, not the bags of food.
Oh, but
bags of commerce.
Contraband?
Yeah. The contraband was difficult to hide.
All right. But you had to hide it, though, because
of course.
It's not allowed. I don't think it's allowed to make your own wine.
No, it's frowned upon.
Yep. And so you did, though, but you got caught because somebody squealed on you.
Yeah, because I was making money. And I was taking away their business.
Okay. So what happened when you got caught?
10 officers came for me with a video camera.
Uh-huh.
And the guy in the cell next door, we're called window buddies. Like we would just lay against the window at night and just chat. We couldn't see each other, but we would chat. He was a good dude. He's like, they're coming. Get rid of all your shit. Tear up your slips, because if somebody owes you something,
okay. Yeah.
So you tear up your slips and
the
flush them.
IOUs and all that. Yeah.
He goes, just get rid of everything. I don't know. 10 of them came with a video camera. Hold my ass out of there in handcuffs. What are you going to do? I mean, you can't fight.
So you're in a jail cell and you get arrested.
Yeah.
That's hard to do.
Apparently not.
Well, you got handcuffed in your cell, you got taken away, and then they
took me down to this special area.
Yeah.
It's a special section of the jail. The block. And strip searched me, and it was when you're in jail you get strip searched a lot, but it's not intrusive. You have to expose yourself. Obviously you're nude. Tongue, cheeks, lift your testicles, turn around, squat, stuff like that. But nobody touches you. Not this kind. Not this time.
Ew.
Yeah. So I don't need a colonoscopy. Let's put it that way.
But you get one.
So yeah, I don't mean to be too graphic,
but you got sent away to a little isolation there, right?
Yeah. You get a special jumpsuit.
Yeah.
It's red. Means you're high risk, and you're put in isolation. And there's nothing to do. There's no TV. There's no conversation because there's no other humans.
No reading. Nothing.
I had a book in that cell.
Okay.
I know everything about French Quebec immigration to Holyoke.
Oh.
That's what the book was about.
Wow.
Yeah, I read it 3 times.
Well,
do you know how much I care about French Quebec immigration to Holyoke?
We'll have another episode and talk about that. How's that? But then you did get out. You did get out eventually, and you ended up at your mom's house, right? And at first things okay. Not to jump ahead, but you ended up getting into an argument with your mom and her husband. It just
because I had relapsed.
You had relapsed, and sort of you said, "All right, I'll show you guys. I'm leaving," and you grabbed a tent, some supplies, a bottle of vodka, and you headed out the door into the woods.
Mm-hmm.
What were you thinking?
I'm gonna die. I'm going here to die. Why bring a tent if you're gonna die? I brought the tent because I didn't want animals, particularly birds,
eating you.
Yeah.
But you went there with the intent to die.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Completely.
Mm-hmm. Drink yourself to death in a tent in the
and
woods.
I also had muscle
fight.
relaxants.
Okay. But you got through a day, and then another day, and then without really much food, right? I mean,
well, the day I decided I wanted to die,
yeah,
I had hurt my back at work previously, so I had a bottle of muscle relaxants. I had a dozen of them, and I dissolved them in vodka and drank it. I woke up 3 days later, completely prone, or prostrate. What is the word?
Both. Yeah.
And
prostrate. Right.
Thank you. Not prostate.
Right.
That's different.
It's different. Yeah.
Thirsty. So thirsty. Not hungry, just thirsty. And I woke up. And it's only because God said, no, not yet. Not yet. It's not your time.
But people were looking for you.
Oh.
Yeah.
Helicopters.
Yeah. They couldn't find you. You're deep in the woods.
Deep in the woods, and I camouflaged my tent. Okay. I didn't want to be found.
Mm-hmm.
So because I had a knife, as always, because I'm a chef. So I had a knife, and I was cutting branches, and I laid them on top, like old-timey camouflage.
Okay. Yep.
So I couldn't be seen from the air.
But your thirst got to you enough that you had to get some fresh water or something to go, and you ended up getting to your mom's house and borrowed her car, headed up to your ex-wife's condo. And what I recall, and you can certainly elaborate, is you said, all right, I'm going to get some food, get a few things that are yours. But
it was also a jealousy thing, too.
Yeah, because I know you said you thought she was having an affair, and it was a jealousy thing, but you also wanted to get some stuff, and so you couldn't get in the condo, though.
No, she had changed the locks.
So you found a creative way to get there.
So it's a second floor condo, right?
Yeah.
So I backed my car up below the balcony, and I'm trying to I open up the hood, and I'm standing on the hood, and I'm trying to pull myself up, but I couldn't. It was just too much of a pull because it was still too tall. So I took my neighbor's furniture, patio furniture, and I stacked it in the back of my car, in the trunk, so I could stand on that, give me a little more leverage. That didn't work either. So I put the furniture back, and I'm like, I got to do something. And I look, and there's another condo complex across the way, and I see a Verizon truck with ladders on the back.
So you helped yourself?
Yeah. So I drove over there. And this is like the middle of the day. This is like noon, right? Broad daylight. Yeah. And I just unstrapped the ladder, put it into my trunk. It's hanging out like 8 feet longer than it should be. Yeah. And just drove away. I'm going to use this. So got the ladder, able to scale, get up there, got my tool bag with me because I was a remodeler. I got this big ass 28-ounce California framing hammer. It's a monster. Okay. Door's locked. I can't get in. So I'm getting in. So I hit the glass with the hammer one time.
Like a bomb. Boom. That thing just
all
smashed.
That tempered glass, 1 million pieces.
Mm-hmm. So you went in, you put your tool bag that you had on the bed, and in that tool bag was a Sawzall blade.
And a sheetrock knife.
And a sheetrock knife. That's what you had taped up because of you had making a handle, right? You had at least created a handle for it.
No, it was an actual purchased item.
It was a purchased item.
It's a real tool.
Okay, and
but it looks deadly,
like a Rambo knife.
It looks like a shark's mouth if you would straighten it and make it out of steel.
Okay, So that's laying on the tool bag.
Unfortunately, on top.
On top, visible for the windows. You go around the house, you're looking for stuff. You make a brilliant decision to call your wife from her house.
Yeah, because I'm an asshole.
And accuse her of whatever, right?
Well, no, it's because I went to the desk where our computer was.
Yeah.
And her date book was open.
Yeah.
Open. So I looked.
Yeah.
And she has our divorce date circled.
Mm-hmm.
And the very next day says Vegas. And then Vegas. And then Vegas. So I'm like,
okay.
The day after we're going to divorce, you're going to go to Vegas and marry this dude. Because we got married in Vegas, her and I.
So that set you off.
Oh, yeah, that's when I called her.
And she said, oh, hey, you're in my house. She could see through caller ID, right?
I called her from her phone.
Right. I mean, so she had to say, what are you doing?
Yeah. I did it on purpose.
Yeah. You're going to show her. Yeah. And so quickly it occurred to you that, I could be in big trouble here. Because one, you're a fugitive, they're looking for you. Number two, didn't you have a restraining order against you?
Uh-huh.
That too.
So I was violating, that's how I got arrested, because I violated the restraining order.
Then you had to leave in a hurry. So you kind of got your things, climbed down the ladder, jumped in your car, forgetting your tool bag.
Yeah, with all the weapons in it.
So when they arrived, the police arrived, your ex-wife arrived, what did they see? A smashed door with a huge shark knife. What was this guy's intention?
Exactly.
So
well, I understand.
Circumstances. Come on.
So the funny part is, on the way home, I stopped at a package store in Ellington, Connecticut.
Yeah.
And I bought a bottle. I don't remember the drive home.
Yeah.
I was not that I was drunk, it's just I was so shocked about everything. I was just overwhelmed. And that drive is normally about 35 minutes. I think it took me 3 hours. Mm-hmm. And I don't know where I went. Mm-hmm. I was just meandering.
And you're drinking too?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
While driving.
And part of why, and I know there was all kinds of things that occurred after that, different relationships you went in and out of, and we go a little bit about all that happened. Well, I don't want to jump ahead, but I guess one of the things I was thinking about is all these things, and why it's important to talk about is when you're not drinking, all right, you're a pretty intelligent, rational, well thought out guy. You ran businesses, you coached teams, you had this, but when you're drinking, your thinking gets altered a little bit. Swag. Yeah, and so there you go with that guy. But you sort of lose your ability to make good decisions.
Well, that's the problem
obvious,
with addiction.
Right, and that's the obvious thing, but this is why I think it's important to talk about. Would Barry, in his sober mind, ever have done some of those things?
God, no.
No, but the swag did.
First of all, if I wasn't abusing alcohol so badly, I never would have been divorced.
Okay, starting there, you're right.
That's the beginning.
Yeah.
She eventually came to a point where she's just like, I remember one day she said to me, "You've lost your passion." If that's not a death knell, I don't know what is.
And so going from there, and you got, after that 3-hour drive back, to get back to complete this story, because I don't want to leave that hanging, but you a couple hours go by, you find your way back to your mom's with the car you borrowed, and you get there, and
my parents say, "What did you do?"
What?
The police have already been here.
Yeah, and
they're looking
back.
for you.
Yeah, and they'll be back.
So I was exhausted.
Yeah.
So I sat down, and then there was knock, knock, knock.
And by the way, this is a day after you woke up after being passed out in the woods for 3 days. Right?
Yeah.
Right after that. So you weren't really all...
I hadn't eaten. Completely dehydrated.
Yeah. So you weren't in the best state of mind, physically and mentally.
Just literally almost came out of a suicide attempt.
Yeah.
Well, literally did come out of a suicide attempt, but...
And here you are now at your mom's house, exhausted.
Not really rational.
No. The cops show up.
Mm-hmm. And so I go to head out the back door, and we have a small deck.
Yeah.
I go to head out the back door. I was going to hop the fence and go back out into the woods where my tent was, because I never packed down my tent. And as soon as I opened that back door, 3 from the right, 3 from the left, 3 from the left, 3 from the right, all guns drawn. 6 cops with weapons drawn on me. And as cops speak, barking at me, telling me to get on my knees, get on my belly. And
your mom's watching this wondering, what the hell is going on?
Yeah.
These cops have guns pointed at you.
6 of them.
Yeah, but what your mom didn't know, and what you probably didn't realize at the time, was the reason why.
Because of the weapons on the bed.
They thought your intent
I was a murderer.
They thought you intended to kill your ex-wife.
Right. So that's why they came so hard. As opposed to just like 2 cops walking up and saying, hey, we got a warrant for you.
Come up. No. They had to take extreme measures to get you.
Because I'm a killer.
Yep.
I've never killed anything. Well, mosquitoes. I like to kill mosquitoes.
Other than that.
Which bothers my Buddhist girlfriend.
We'll get into that too. Yeah, but you get back in jail after all this. Obviously, you're back.
Off I go.
Off you go again, and it's like, okay, here we are again. And you go through that, and when you get out, and you come out, and again, not to jump ahead, but you end up in going to some groups in AA. You got sober for a little while. Even ran a group, right? And to say, hey, guys.
I ran a support group.
It
was through Facebook, and that's how I met my friend Sarah.
Okay.
We went to not only I met my girlfriend and Sarah at IOP, intensive outpatient.
Which. And I do want to talk about Sarah, because we mentioned earlier, but but let's get with your story, and I know there's a lot more, and probably have it back, because I think there's a lot of messages in what you're talking about here. When you ended up in jail and come back, and at some point somebody approached you, and here you are, your life is a mess. You went from being the restaurant owner, Superdad coach, to now your second or third stint in jail. And saying, all right, so somebody comes up and says, hey, we have this Christian group if you want to attend, and you looked at him like, no, you're asking the wrong guy.
Exactly, because I was an atheist.
You were an atheist, and he says,
and this is this. He's a big dude, and he got beaten by COs, and they broke his ankle, so he had a boot on, and he's using crutches and a cane at times.
Yeah,
and he was a gangbanger. He had neck tattoos, head tattoos.
Yeah.
And he was an intimidating dude, my size.
And he asked you to go to a Bible study?
Exactly.
And you're going, huh? and then
out of the blue. It was like day 2 in jail.
Yeah.
And I don't know him. I don't know you. You don't know me. How are you going to come up to me and ask me to go to a Bible study?
Yeah.
Why?
There's other people. Ask them, right? I mean, because I'm an atheist.
Yeah.
Right? So somehow...
somehow, clearly in my eyes, the somehow was God. Yeah. God pointed him at me.
So you went to the meeting?
I went to the meeting.
Yeah.
And I saw this. Now, this is miserable. I mean, miserable. But I saw happiness. And I saw joy. And I saw these inmates, these hard-ass criminals, convicts, happy. And I went, what the hell is going on?
But it was genuine happy. It wasn't.
Yeah.
They were real.
They were joyous.
Yeah.
And they were celebrating each other, and they had respect for each other, and they were talking to each other with respect, as opposed to, yo,
You go, who are you people?
Yeah. What's happening? What's happening around me right now?
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't understand what's going on.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, everything changed. It was miraculous, quite literally.
And you eventually got out, obviously. And where did you go from there? Back home to your mom?
Yeah. Yeah.
Then a friend approached you.
All right.
Who found out what you were going through Facebook or something, and she connected you with Celebrate Recovery?
Celebrate Recovery and Life Point Church.
Okay.
She said, she's a musician, and I sing. And she said, come to Life Point. You're going to love the music. It's amazing. Just come. And I said, I don't want to. And she said, just come. Just come see. Yeah. Which is what Jesus said. Just come see. And I went, and I was like, wow, this is pretty amazing. And then I went again. And then I went, snap. Boy, have I been an idiot. How much time have I lost? Now, he knows. But it was at that moment that everything changed. Everything. I was one way, now I'm another.
Barry, no longer swag.
No longer swag. Well, swag's still there a little bit.
Yeah.
He's useful.
When you need him, you draw from him. Yeah, that's
but just in small bits. You can ask my fans.
And you know, I would love to get into, because I know even in your chapter in the book, there was a lot that occurred with the relationships and the gangs and your different activities and things that you almost planning a murder with somebody, and the depths of that. How you
that was the bottom.
Yeah.
That was worse than living in a tent in the woods. That was worse.
That ordeal.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I feared for my life for years after that. I did. I got PTSD. If I heard a motorcycle, I would flip because she was involved with that life.
I know, and that's another half-hour discussion. Honestly, it is, and I wish we had time to delve into that. And so I just kind of on the surface just hit that for now, because you, even after jail the second time, you went into the depths of that, fearing for your life, even planning a murder, making decisions that were outrageously wrong.
Awful.
And one thing after the next, until you finally came out and through Celebrate Recovery said, okay, I've got to change. And and I think part of that change, which you've described too, is trying to get back. One, you can't just recoup those years, but I know that you've got 2 daughters and a son, and I know you've mentioned that it's as your life changes, and maybe at some point, as things change, you may regain the relationship you had.
That's my hope and my prayer.
Yeah.
All I can do is continue to work on myself and just try to become a better human.
Yeah. Now, you've also been helping other people too. Yeah. How do you...
I was very active pre-COVID, and then when COVID hit, everything stopped. Everything, as you know, as we all know.
Right.
So I'm trying to get back into it. I do a lot of, I guess you could call it private mentoring, because I'm open and honest about my addiction, and I talk about it. I mean, I don't brag about it, but I talk about it.
But and you have to talk about it. You have to use that, because if people are going through the depths of depression, fear, anxiety, jail, wherever they're at, there is a way out. Well, and a lot of people give up hope.
They do.
Yeah.
And so what I have to do, how I see my role in this, instead of public speaking that I used to do, my role is just to be the example. Like, I've been through a lot of shit, like some nasty stuff, that maybe they haven't been, but they're living it now and heading down that path. But if they could see that who I am today came from there, they contact me and they say, hey, can I talk to you?
Yeah.
So it's like I'm a private counselor,
right? Well,
not unpaid.
Yeah. Well, but I think that's great. And I think people can relate. Wow, this guy relates to me.
Yeah.
He understands me.
Yeah.
Right. And
because I'm a real person.
Right.
I mean,
right.
I'm not pretentious. I'd hope not.
Not at all.
But, it's
just,
man, I've worn that jumpsuit.
Yeah.
I've lived in that leaky tent in the woods.
Mm-hmm.
I planned to commit a murder with a maniac girlfriend.
Mm-hmm.
Truly maniac.
Well, you survived all that.
How?
Yeah.
Well, this is Mike. This is the how and how I see it, right?
Yeah.
Because God didn't want me to die. Because I have to do this.
Right.
I'm here.
Yeah.
For this.
And with your energy, your intellect, your experiences, everything that you have to offer, I think will do that for people. I think they will help a lot.
This is why I'm sitting in this chair.
Right.
The only reason why.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know how hard it is to step forward and say to the public, yeah, I'm an addict. Yep, me.
Yeah.
It takes a lot of courage.
It definitely does.
So here I am with a microphone in my face, telling possibly the universe.
Right. Well, I don't think our audience is that large. We're getting there.
But you know, because the message of salvation is true and real, and it can happen. It's not easy. It is not easy. It is extremely difficult, and it will be with you for the rest of your life. But if you, the cliche, one day at a time, if you look at it as only one day at a time, today I'm not going to use. Just today. I don't have to worry about for the rest of my life I can't have a cocktail, because that's
a lot.
That's so depressing.
Yeah.
Like, it's Christmas. I can't have a glass of champagne? No, I can't. Because it's not a glass.
Yeah, small
It's
bites,
the rest of the case.
One day. Yeah. Right. Right. Because it always leads to that no matter what. Yeah,
right.
It's hard.
Take the cap off the bottle and throw it away. I don't need it again.
Celebrate Recovery has been a blessing to you and many others who I know we've spoken with in the area. Celebrate Recovery, and this is why too we're asking any listeners if they'd like to look into or find out more about Celebrate Recovery, but also if they'd like to donate to Celebrate Recovery. We'll say it again because it's celebraterecovery.com. But your friend Sarah, and this is why you're asking in her honor, right?
Yes.
And we have a minute. You want to mention what Sarah went through? And
Sarah was a heroin addict. 26 years old, 2 kids. Absolutely gorgeous. I mean, and bright and witty. I didn't know her while she was using. I met her while we were in recovery at IOP. And her, my girlfriend, and myself all became friends. And we used to do silly things like cupcake picnics. I lived in Westfield with my girlfriend, and there was I think it was called Grandma's or something. I don't remember the name, but it was a cup. All they do is cupcakes, and there's like you walk in and there's all different sizes and like dozens of varieties. So we would buy a box of cupcakes, go up to Stanley Park, throw a blanket down, and just sit there in the sun and eat cupcakes.
yeah, nice. Yeah.
Yeah, right?
Yeah.
That's a nice afternoon.
Yeah.
If for 3 people trying to be sober.
Right.
As opposed to going to a pool hall or
right.
a bar. And anyway, so I started this thing called Sober Support. It was a Facebook page, and it was designed to help people get to and from meetings, and it was also designed so that we could do like cupcake parties, stuff like that, non-alcohol or drug use events to keep people busy. Because when you get sober, you're like, I don't know what to do. I don't have a life. Everything I used to know how to do, I can't do. I can't go to the bar and see a band because that's too dangerous, even though I love music. So I got to find out so cupcake party.
Yep. Yep.
You just got to get a little creative. So Sarah was part of the IOP program. Is we random urine tests and stuff like that, and they would check us. And if she was using, it would have come out positive. She would have got kicked out of the program. She wanted to be alive. So she became my right hand in this group, sober support group that I was talking about. She did a lot of stuff. She was active. She really wanted to be sober, but addiction is a beast. And the beast came and bit her. So she found a way to mimic the high of heroin which I had never heard of until after she died, with anti-diarrheal medicine. And if you take enough of it, you get high. But you won't urine test positive because it's not heroin. And apparently the day she died, she took over 1,000 doses. Imagine.
I can't.
I mean, what's going to happen to your body? You know what's going to happen to your body? It's going to stop. And that's what happened. She died.
Left behind 2 children.
Yep. Yeah. And people who loved her.
Yep.
She was a really wonderful person. She just, the beast conquered.
Yeah. Wow. Well, I'm sorry to hear that. That's tough. Are you in touch with the kids at all?
No, I didn't know them.
Okay.
I mean, I had met them, but her and her mom and I used to chat a little bit, and that faded. She was the one who called me. I don't even know how she got my number. I think she picked up Sarah's phone, got it from there.
Okay. Yeah. Wow. Well, thanks for sharing that. That's pretty tragic.
It's a horrible story.
Yeah.
What a way to die.
And of course, what we're trying to do is prevent that. By creating the awareness and doing all we can do, and what you're doing is great. Now,
well, Mike, if I may,
yeah.
The thing about your book is you mention it in your preface. Just creating the awareness. These are the stories, and it's probably happening around you right now. She wasn't the first time she had done something like this, but her family was ignorant to it and didn't see the signs. And your book helps people see the signs so that they can intervene.
Yeah, and I hope that does get recognized, and that's the thing. And I don't even mention it because sometimes we do, but the book, if you're interested, is called Voices from the Fallen, True Stories of Addiction, Grief, Recovery, and Courage, and that book profiles 8 different stories. Your story is one of them, and like you said, in each of the stories, there are the causes, the effects, and the outcomes of each of these people. In this case, you think that maybe they'll recognize the signs, maybe they'll see something familiar in there, and say, yeah, I see the same thing, my same friend, relative, going down that same path. And maybe as a result of that, they can intervene, interrupt,
or whatever, even section.
Yes, something, but it's recognizing that and saying, you know what, I see where this is going. And I know we're starting to run out of time, but I want to thank you for sharing all that. And again, we're friends, we'll be talking, and love to have you back. So, hey, man, thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
All
this
right.
is a pleasure.
Talk soon.
Very exciting.
All right. Thanks, everybody. See you soon.
Good night.